Hi everyone, welcome back to the LNS Crafts channel. My name's Lorraine and I'm coming to you from the UK. It's been a while, so for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for hanging on in there, waiting for new uploads from me. And those of you that are coming back after my break, I suppose, thanks also. There's not really much to tell in terms of why I've been away. I've just been caught up doing other things. I've been doing my crafting in the background, but I just haven't had much motivation to really sit down and record a video. Or I did actually try to record a video a couple of weeks ago, and then I ran out of time because I had things going on, and so all I had managed to record was the cross stitch section, and I didn't get a chance to upload that. So I figured, you know what, I just left it for a while, and now I'm like, okay, I've got quite a lot of things to share with you, so this might be a long video, so do bear with me, but hopefully you'll enjoy that. So let's start with cross stitching. I've got quite a few cross stitch projects on the go now. Probably not a lot in comparison to other bigger YouTubers or people that do videos regularly, but for me it's quite a lot because I do lots of other crafts as well. So I'm going to start by showing you the one that I have finished, and I did post it on my Instagram account. This is the Modern Folk embroidery piece. So this was a stitch along for 2021. That's what it looked like. That is the actual design by Modern Folk Embroidery. It's called Fruit of Plenty. I really love this design. It has been such a pleasure to stitch it. I've made mistakes all over the place. I've ripped things out. I've done a lot of frogging. I've done a lot of restitching, but I really enjoyed this project. So I have stitched this on 16 count oatmeal Aida, and I've stitched it 1 over 1. And I've used 2 colours for this actual stitch along back in 2021. I think you could use either 2 colours, but I think the design was meant to be done in 2 colours, but there was also the option to do it in 1 colour, and some people have done it in lots of different colours. Some people have used like variegated thread colours, and there's all kinds of variations that people have stitched on this particular project, or design. But I've stuck to 2 colours. Blue is my favourite colour, so it was bound to be blue. So I have used DMC colours 3750 dark blue and 932 light blue. And the last time you saw this, I had 5 boxes at the bottom to go. So it wasn't quite complete. There were 5 boxes left. I'll insert a picture of what it was like beforehand. Oh, I should have done that already. But I've managed to finish it. I am really pleased with this. I'm absolutely thrilled with the way it's turned out. I've enjoyed stitching this. It's been, I feel like it's one of my favourite projects that I have worked on to date in cross stitching. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. There are, I did make a mistake towards the end. I'm not going to point it out. And I have made a little, one of my viewers suggested, because I put my P, I stitched my P on and I wasn't sure that I was happy with it, like it wasn't quite centered enough for me. So one of my viewers suggested I put a little heart next to it, so that's what I did, and I'm pleased with the way that looks. I haven't made any other changes. Oh, I changed the date at the bottom, so whereas on the original design it was 2021, because I finished it this year, I just changed the 1 to a 2, so it's 2022. So that says 22, and then at the top is where it says the 20. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how this turned out, and I am now trying to decide really how to frame it and where to put it. But yeah, I'm super chuffed with this, and I posted a picture on my Instagram to show you that I'd finished, because I hadn't had a chance to do a video. And yeah, one out of my stash. So the next one I was working on was Tiki Beach Sunset. So this one, I've got all the bags on the floor, so that's why I'm bending down. So this one, oops, that's not Tiki Beach Sunset. Give me a moment. Let me get in order. Okay. So Tiki Beach Sunset is this one. So this one is a Amy Stewart design, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This one looks like that when it's finished. I decided to stitch this one on 18 count easy guide because I already had a 25 count project on the go, and I wanted to see whether I would enjoy doing it on 18 count more, because my eyes found it a bit of a strain on 25 count, or they do sometimes. So I thought I would switch up from the 25 count and have a go on 18 count for a Heaven and Earth design full coverage. So that's what I've done. So this is on 18 count, it's 2/1, and it's like I said, it's a story keep, so it's a slightly smaller design, Tiki Beach Sunset. And last time you saw it, I'll insert a picture of what it looked like then. Whoops, I'm dropping things. Let me just get rid of the chart. So, the last time you saw it, I think I was working towards a page finish. I'm leaving it in the frame, in the Q-snap, because it's easier, but this is where it is now. So I finished, this is a page finish. I managed to complete the little lizard that I mentioned in the last video that I really wanted to do, and I made a little star on the next page here. So I haven't done a whole heap of stitching on this project since, well, since the last, I've done a page, so I guess it in terms of what you've seen, it's a lot since you last saw it, but I haven't really worked on this very much in the last few months that I've been away from YouTube. So I don't really have a lot to say about this project at the moment. I have enjoyed stitching it so far, and I do enjoy stitching it, but now I kind of, my attention seems to be focusing on more Christmassy projects at the moment. So this one is a bit of, it's kind of on the back burner while I try and finish some Christmas stuff. So that's where that is. So that's Tiki Beach Sunset. The next one I have, sorry, managed to knock the camera. The next project that I have worked on cross stitch wise is Bothy Threads London. So the last time I showed you this piece, actually let me show you the design first. So this is what it looks like, Bothy Threads London. The last time I showed you where I was on this, I had worked to the bottom part. I had a section here section on this side to complete. I'd worked up the middle. I'll insert a picture of what it looks like. So this is worked on 16 count blue Ada, and it's a kit, as you can see. So the threads came with it, the fabric came with it, the needle came with the kit, so I didn't have to purchase anything. So it's 16 count blue Ada, like I said, working it 2/1. And I've made quite a lot of progress on this one as well. Over the last, I want to say about a month, I've paid quite a lot of attention to this until something else caught my eye. So, and I will share that with you in a moment. So this is where I am with my Bothy Threads London, as you can see that. So this is the entirety of the fabric. So it should be quite a nice size piece, but I've got that much done. So I've completed a page. I finished the page, oops, let's see if I can hold this right. I finished the page at that bottom edge here, and then I decided to work up this side, and I've gridded it slightly because I realised at some point that I was making a mistake with my counting, and so I've used my little fabric pen thing to grid it so that I don't make that mistake again. But I do enjoy doing this in front of the TV when I'm watching Netflix or whatever, and I can just do blocks of colour. I don't have to concentrate too much on this project, so it's a nice kind of TV one for me. I am trying at the moment to complete this section, so I'll complete this, fill in this bit here, and then I'm just working across in columns like that until I get to this edge, and then I'll see what I want to do down here. So yeah, so my needle minder is a Positivity Rules by Caterpillar's Cross Stitch from a stitch along a while ago. But yeah, that is where I'm at with that one, Bothy Threads London. And I'm enjoying this one, but I have put this one down in favour of another project, as I mentioned. The great thing about having lots of different projects is that I can choose between them depending on my mood at the time. So, let's see. I'm going to share with you my progress on my Life is an Open Book London piece. Sorry, I've got to, these are all falling over down here. So this is a Heaven and Earth design. Again, well, not a Heaven and Earth design, it's an Amy Stewart design again, and it's been charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. That's the design. It's Life is an Open Book London. It's a story keep. I've shown you this quite a few times before. So I'm stitching this on 25 count easy guide. It's my only piece on 25 count and it was my first ever Heaven and Earth design piece. So I find it quite heavy going on my eyes at times, and I do have a magnifier and things like that, and I have sorted out a new prescription for my glasses and stuff, but for some reason at the moment I'm not drawn to this project. So this has been sat down for a while. I did pull it out about a month ago and did a little bit more on it, but it's gone back into its little bag, and so yeah, it is what it is. So here's a picture of what it looked like last time. And this is where I am with it now. So I completed that page, so all of this section since last time has been finished, and now I'm just working across here. So I don't know if you will have noticed in my cross stitch projects that I've shown you so far, this is the only one that I'm using the parking method for, because of the fact that it's so detailed, it's full coverage, and it's on finer fabric. I do some parking sometimes on Tiki Beach Sunset, but on the whole I tend to feel quite comfortable just doing like cross-country stitches. So what I've been doing on Tiki Beach Sunset, I think I'll take a thread in a box somewhere and I'll try and work upwards, and then I will just complete the whole of that thread until it's done. I will just stitch until that thread is finished. Sorry about that. So right, so what was I saying? Parking. So yeah, I have been parking on this particular project, but I haven't been parking so much on Tiki Beach Sunset because I prefer to do a little bit more cross country on that one. I'll work through a thread, finish a thread, colour, and then and it doesn't matter which box it goes in, I'll just try and finish it up into wherever it fits and then move on to the next colour. So I'm working randomly on Tiki Beach Sunset, but when I'm working on this one, I tend to try and be a little bit more disciplined about using the parking method, because I don't want there to be gaps like there are at the top here from when I was working on it early on. But yeah, so that is where I am with Life is an Open Book London. So the next piece I have to share with you is, let's see, this one is, I don't think I've shown this one on the podcast before, so I've made quite a lot of progress on this one, but I don't recall showing it in one of my videos before. So this one is called Noel. It's by Stitch Rodia, and I am working on this on a 32 count sparkly antique white fabric flare fabric, and I'm stitching it 2/2. At this point I decided, I think what happened after recording the last video, I somehow got in the mood to do some Christmas stitching, as I mentioned in that video I think, and so I decided to start on this design, which I had in my stash for a while. So I picked this up, made a start on this because I already had the thread colours. I ordered whatever was missing and made a start on this project, and I got so into it, couldn't put it down. So I had decided to do this on a 32 count fabric because I wanted to see what my stitches were going to look like. Now that I have a little bit more experience of cross stitching, because I've done quite a bit of it now, I thought let me go back and try 32 count fabric again, because the last time I did that was, I think, when I worked on my Positivity Rules stitch along, which was a caterpillar cross stitch stitch along, and that was the first time I'd ever worked on anything other than Ada. So I thought, this time I've got a little bit more experience. I know that I want my stitches to be a particular way. I know that I can be a bit neater. I've learned more methods of starting and stopping threads. I've learned what I like and what I don't like. I've learned, you know, when when it's probably a good idea for me to undo something, to frog something, rather than to just leave it as it is. I've learnt quite a lot. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. I've learnt quite a lot of things about what I like about my own stitching and my preferences. So I thought now would be a perfect time to have a go at 32 count fabric again, or you know, just a different fabric, a different count fabric than what I'm used to, like 18 count, 16 count. And I wanted to have a go at working 2 over 2 again, basically. So I started this project, and this is, I said it already, didn't I? Noelle by Stitch Rovia, who is Emma Condon. She is on, I got the pattern from what's it? I'm forgetting the name of this company. What's it called? Etsy. I got the pattern from Etsy. Somebody, I think, had mentioned it probably in a video or something that I'd seen a long time ago, and I kept seeing it and liking it. I think Crafty Emily has worked on this as well, and I really liked what she'd done, so I thought I'd give it a go. So this is where I am with mine. So I'm holding it by the fabric and not by the ring, because the top of it kind of gets caught in the Q snap, but that's where I am with it. I'm very close to finishing this. I've been working on it over the last couple of days on the L. I have made some mistakes in there actually already. Was it on the, I made some mistakes in the E, but I don't care, I don't mind. I still think it looks pretty good. I do find it a little bit of a struggle. Well, not struggle, I find that I have to concentrate a little bit more with this because of the fact that I'm working 2 over 2. I find it less easy to work kind of cross country, maybe so like where I've got a purple here, rather than just continuing the purple and just carrying it to further along or down here or whatever, rather than just cutting it and then starting it down here, I will just wait until I've done all the stitches around that purple, and then I will start working the purple. Because what I notice is that I tend to, if I'm trying to count ahead and I'm working on stitching 2 over 2, I tend to miscount and I get my needle in the wrong hole, and then I end up stitching in completely the wrong place. So my way of getting around that has been to do what I've done here, for example, which is just to leave the thread, put the colour that I want to, that I've used and that I'm going to carry upwards, leave it, just push it through as close to where I want it to be, or where I think that colour stitch is going to be, and then when I get up to that, then I can decide, okay, that's in the wrong place or it's not, rather than stitch it, finish the stitch, cut the thread and expect everything to meet up at the end. So I'm kind of preempting my mistake, and instead of making the mistake of stitching in the wrong place, I'm just putting the thread in the wrong place, and not in the wrong place, putting the thread where I think it should go and leaving it free, so that if it is in the wrong place, I can just adjust it. So that's how I'm working with this, because of the fact that working 2 over 2, it doesn't come as easily to me as working 2 over 1 does, because I have to think that little bit more about where I'm going to place my stitches. So yeah, because I'm just not used to working 2 over 2. But I am really pleased with how this is turning out. I do think that I'm going to have this finished before Christmas. It is quite quick to work up. It has been quite quick to work up. I'm not sure I really particularly like the coverage of the purple. I can still see white in the purple, but I don't know if that's just my stitching or if that's just because, I don't know why that is, but I can see the white coming through the purple. So it's not perfect. I guess if I wanted to not be able to see any of that colour at all, I'd just go for a higher count fabric, wouldn't I? Or perhaps be a bit more careful about how I lay my stitches. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it's working out. I'm pleased with it, and I enjoy stitching this because, again, it's bright and colourful and it's a fun one to stitch. So yeah, so that is where I am with that piece. The last cross stitch design I have to share with you is, let me just move this stuff out of the way. I've got all these little needle stitch counters everywhere to kind of stack them up. Let's see, the last one I have is the Stitch into Christmas sale. So this is by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. That's a new one, isn't it? This is by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and this is one of their bags. So it's called Stitch into Christmas, and it's a stitch along that started in September. I think it was the 12th of September, something like that. And basically it's a mystery stitch along, so I can't tell you what the design is going to be. But I bought the kit. You can just buy the design and use your own threads and your own fabric and needles. But I decided, just for ease, I would just buy the complete kit. So that's what I did. And the fabric that they provided is a navy blue colour. And this is, it's meant to be, from what I could remember, it's meant to be 28 count even weave. But I'm thinking my stitches look quite small to be like 28, I don't know, my stitches look quite small. I like the fabric. This is where I am. So it's 28 count even weaves, 28 count navy blue even weave that came with the kit. The threads are DMC threads, and this is where I am. So I've received part 1 and part 2. Hopefully, let me see if I can put that behind it so it's easier to see. So I've received part 1 and part 2 of the design already, and I've finished. I'm so sorry about this. Let me just get myself organised. Here we go. That's better. So, so this section is part 1, and this section across and the little bulbs or baubles are part 2. So what I've done, the only change I've made, that if you're doing a stitch along or if you've seen it you might notice, the Santa on the original design is different. I've made mine looking a little bit more like me, a little bit more representative for me, and so I've used a brown thread for his face, and that's the only change I've made. Other people that are working on this stitch along, I've noticed they've added different things with the candy cane. They've changed the colour of the snowman's hat, they've changed the Christmas presents, they might have added stuff to the stocking, they've changed the robin. So many people are working so many different variations of this actual design, and it's really nice to see that people are making it unique and individual to themselves. So I was quite I'm quite blown away by how many people are working on this and also making lots of changes to the design themselves that you know, that's more fitting with maybe what they like, what is more fun for them, whatever, you know. So it's a really, really nice stitch along, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying seeing everybody else's progress, and I might actually nick some of their ideas. So I think maybe for part 3, they have a Facebook group for the stitch along. What I might do before part 3 comes out, I might just see how other people are doing, are altering the designs, and I may just nick a few of their ideas if I like them. So just to kind of have a bit of fun with it, really. So yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed stitching it. I do love doing little motifs, so this is the kind of project that I love to do. Much like the Modern Folk embroidery one, I love to do little motifs, just little chunks of a particular design. So maybe a flower or a bird. I love doing that kind of project. So this kind of design is right up my street, so I'm really happy with this. So yeah, that is where I am with that one. It's quite fun. So yeah, so this is, like I said, 28 count. It's stitched 2 over 2. So again, I'm having to think about where I place my my thread next. If I'm trying to count in advance, I'm having to think a little bit more, as opposed to when I'm working on Ada and I just go across to the next box or whatever. So I mean, it shouldn't really be that hard, but for me, I always tend to make counting mistakes. And the needle minder came with the kit, the selection that I ordered for the kit. So there are different variations of the kit that you can order, so you can have it with the needle minder, you can have it without, you can have it with 16 count Ada, or you can have it with 14 count Ada or 28 count even weave. So I chose the 28 count even weave, and I chose to have the little snowman needle minder as well, so because I thought that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, so that is it. That is where I have got to with all of my stitchy projects. I have also been working on other things too. So let me just put this stuff away, and then I will move on to, let's see, what's next on my list? Crochet. Okay, so for the crochet section even, I have just one project to share with you that I have been working on. It's now finished. So it is the blanket. So this blanket, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get this, if I can push the camera back a bit, I might be able to get some of this in. So this blanket, I think last time I showed you I had to add a couple more squares, blocks of 6, and then complete a border. I found a border that I really like the look of on YouTube, and so I watched the tutorial on YouTube, and then I decided to have a go at it for this blanket, and I really like it. So let me show you quickly. This is the border. If I can find the link to where I got the border from, I will, but that is what the border looks like. I can't remember for the life of me what I actually did, because it was a while ago now, but it kind of looked a little bit like knitting on one side, but yeah, maybe not, maybe it's just my eyes. But yeah, I've done that all the way around the edge, and I really love the way it turned out. So this is the finished blanket. It's kind of, it's not as big as a single bed size, but it is quite big. So we have these 6, then another 6, then another 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks of 6 across. That's how big it is across. Can't even get it all in the camera. And then if I turn it that way, we go again. And we go that way. So it's quite a big blanket, and I am super pleased that it's finished, because now that we're coming into, well, we're officially in autumn, it's starting to get colder, and it is a really nice blanket to just sit under while watching the TV on the sofa in the evening. So that is the blanket. So it's just formed of, in case you haven't seen the last video, it's basically formed of granny squares. So I've done, as you can, let me see if you can see here, what I've done, I started off doing a scrappy blanket. I started off by doing scrappy granny squares, like this, just one square at a time like this. So it's 1, 2, 3 rounds of a colour, and then 1 round of white. And I do 6 of those, stitch them all together in a block of 6 like this, and then do another 6. And they're all scraps of yarn that I have had left over, which are sock yarn. So there's various different types of yarn. By types I mean 4-ply, double knit, perhaps even chunky, Aran weight. They're all different types of yarn in here, because I was just trying to use up scraps, and somehow I ended up making this kind of pattern, forming a pattern as I went along and stitched them all together. So yeah, it's ended up not looking as scrappy as I thought it would, and I actually quite like it, and I decided to keep it. I was going to give it away, but I actually quite like it, and I'm just keeping it because I've actually given away another blanket that I worked on to a family member, so I'm 1 blanket down. So this one is staying, and I quite like the way it looks, and it's nice and warm and comfy. So that's the crochet. So next up I have Latch Hook that I've been working on. So hopefully you'll remember from the last video that I was working on a latch hook project that was gifted to me, and my daughter and I were working on this to start with, and then we kind of lost the momentum, put it down for months on end, and then we started again and made quite a bit of progress. Then I put it down for a while, and then only yesterday I've picked it up again and done quite a bit on it, I guess. So this is the design. It's just called a latch hook kit. So it came with all the wools. It comes with the latch hook itself, which I showed you last time. It just looks like that. Oops, it's got the yarn on it. So it's made, the yarn is actually wool. Well, not wool, but I mean, could be acrylic, but it's yarn. So yeah, so that's the design. I've been working away at this, and it's meant to be a rug. I don't think it's really going to be hard wearing enough to be a rug, but I've been working on it anyway, just for the fun of it, and this is where I got to so far. So I've made quite a bit of progress on this. Quite pleased with how it is, how it looks. I did make we did kind of make a mistake in the way we were hooking it in the first section, so I've had to kind of rectify that when I've worked on this section here. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way it's coming along. I started this section yesterday evening, so that was, I don't know, about an hour doing that. It works out quite quickly once you get going, get into the swing of it, and then I just want to work it upwards like that. And what I've been doing, because I made a mistake with how we worked the rest of it, I'm just literally doing it stitch by stitch. So I'm working from this side and then going inwards with one colour at a time. So I'll do 2 blue, then the grey, whatever the pattern calls for, then the green, and I'll just work across like that. And even though there's like blue here and there's blue here, I'm not going to do I'm not going to work the blues first. I'm going to just do it in sequence so that I don't make any mistakes, because I think that's kind of where we messed up on that side. So I'm just taking it bit by bit and just working slowly along the row, and then starting here again and working along, kind of typewriter method, just working along, working along, working along, and it's slowly moving along. So that's where I am at that, and I'm quite pleased with it. So that's the latch hook. So the last thing I think I have to share with you, crafty wise, is the knitting I've been doing. So let's move on into knitting. Okay, so I mentioned last time that I had been working on a pair of socks, which are these. I've now finished 2 pairs. I don't have my sock, what do you call it, sock blocker down here to make it look all nice and pretty, but those are my shorty socks. The yarn that I used for this was a Lay Family yarn called Winter's Tale. I've had it in my stash for quite a long while. It's a superwash merino and nylon base, 75/25, and that is the Lay Family yarn label, and those are the details for the yarn. So I really love the way it worked up. I haven't done I haven't done socks for a while, so when I did do I did these a few months back after the last video, and I just put them down. So they haven't been worn or anything like that. I was just waiting to show them off to you. But these, it took me a while to get these done, because at that point I hadn't done any knitting for a long time. So I had to kind of get my head around knitting the socks again. So I just started with a plain pair of socks, got on with it, enjoyed doing it, and just kind of refreshed my memory as to how I work these. So I was pleased with those, and because I had leftover yarn, I then decided, right, I've got my plain socks, now let's move on to a pattern one. And I really, really enjoy the jelly roll socks. So this is the pattern, jelly roll socks. I think it's by Orange Knits, Mara Catherine Briner, aka Orange Knits. That's it. I've had this pattern in my stash for a while. I've made these socks a number of times. I love the way they feel on my feet. I love the way they fit. I love the fact that they're shorties. I really enjoy them. The process of knitting these is not difficult, but it's not, I wouldn't say it was for a beginner. So it could require a little bit more concentration for a beginner, and probably a little bit of help from a more intermediate knitter to pick up stitches and stuff. So yeah, so this is where I got two, so I made two. I love the colours in this, absolutely love the colours in this. So this again is Winter's Tale colourway for the main body of the sock, and then I used a contrast colour here, which is, I think it is, this is what it looks like. I think it was a West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, I can't remember the colour of it, and I don't seem to have kept the colours or written down the colours in my Ravelry account, so I can't quite tell you what it was. Maybe it's maybe I gave the detail in my last video, so check that if you're interested in knowing what this colour actually is. But yeah, so I've done these two socks. I did the standard sock. They have different variations in this pattern, where you can have the contrast heel or you can not have the contrast heel. You can have the contrast bit here or you can not have the contrast bit there. You know, there are variations, so you can skip things if you don't particularly want to do the difficult bits, or if you just don't particularly like those bits. Entirely up to you. If you don't want to do the contrast cuff, don't have to do the contrast cuff, but I like doing that. I think it kind of makes the socks look pretty. So yeah, so those are the completed Jelly Roll socks, and I might actually do another pair. So yeah, so that's one thing that I have been working on, or two things should I say, the two socks. I also decided to make a top. Now, me being so unorganised, I started this top in the summer months, a summer top, and didn't get it finished until summer was literally over, basically. So this is the big chain top. It was released this year, so it looks like here I've got the version 13th of July 2022 for this top, and this is what it looks like. Now, I've done designs, I have knit patterns by Hinterm Stein before, and I love the designs that she comes up with, and I loved the way that that neck looked, and I thought that would look so nice in a top, a top for me. So I tried to figure out what yarn was going to be best for me in this, and I looked at what other people had used and stuff, and she suggested a silk or rayon blend, or cotton or linen and all of that jazz. In the end, I decided I was going to go with, let me find the yarn here, I was going to go with Drops Bell Unicolor, and this is in the colour, what is it, Electric or something like that? Oh gosh, I can't remember the colour of it, but that's the colour. It's kind of like a deep turquoise colour. I absolutely loved the colour, and I decided, right, I'm going to have a top out of that colour. So it's an interesting yarn. Never worked with anything like this before. Never worked with linen before. And so this was an experience for me. So I picked up the pattern, thought to myself, right, I'm used to doing Hinterm Stein patterns. I know they're not for everyone, and sometimes interpreting bits of it can be a little bit tricky, but I don't usually have any issues. So I started working on the top. I did the neck section, and then I got down to, I think it was down to here, and I just thought, this is not right, it doesn't look right. It was not sitting in a kind of, it wasn't lying flat. So the way that her design had it on here, the way that the neck looks on here, it's nice and flat. Mine wasn't flat. It didn't look like that at all. So then I ripped it back. Long story short, I think I ripped this pattern, this knitting back at least 3 or 4 times to get it to what it is now. I found it very, I don't know if it's the pattern or if it's me, to be fair. I'm not quite sure what the issue is here. I didn't do a gauge swatch, but that's not usually a problem for me. Let me show you what the finished article looks like. I managed to get it the way I wanted it in the end. So this is the finished big chain top. I loved the way it looked in the end. I did take some photos. If I can remember, I'll try and insert some photos of what it looks like on me now. But I had problems at first because, if you can see here, the front is lower than the back. Yeah, and in the original, the first time I knit this, the front was up there at the same height. It wasn't looking right. It wasn't laying flat like this. it was kind of, it just wasn't looking right. It didn't lie flat in a nice soft curve. It just didn't look right. And I undid that a few times. Then I tried it once I kind of felt like, okay, I've got past the neck, I've done all this detail, the neck looks okay, I'm going to work it down to the arms. I worked down to the arms, and then I thought, okay, let's try it on. I think I probably got to about 1 inch under the arms and realised that actually the arm length was not big enough. The gap here was not long enough for my arms, and it was right up under my armpits. It was too tight. So that didn't work. My battery's going to die. Give me a minute and I will switch the battery and come back. Right, sorry about that. So I ripped it back after I tried it on, and what I did, I was convinced that, okay, maybe after, when I've done the rest of it, the arm will hang a bit better, it will get a bit lower. Maybe after I've blocked it, the fabric will stretch a bit and I'll have enough arm room. So I continued to knit until I got to the bottom, tried it on, did the ribbing, everything, finished it, tried it on, and I kept thinking to myself, I really don't want to have to do it again. I don't want to have to knit it again. So I left it for a while, and then I decided, you know what? You're never going to wear it if it's not comfortable. So if it's hitched right up under my arm, then I'm never going to wear it. So after spending all this time knitting it, do I want to have a top that is right up under my armpits that I'm never going to wear because of that? I'm going to, each time I go to my wardrobe to look at this top, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm leaving that one because it just doesn't fit right under the arms. So I figured, you know what, bite the bullet, just rip it back, frog it back, and make it fit the way you want it to. So I frogged the whole thing back beyond the arms and redid the whole thing from the arms to lengthen the arms. So, and then at that point, it's funny because at that point, that was when I realised that the front and the back, I'd knit them incorrectly. So there are increases in the front for the bust, and then there's the bit at the top that where you make the neck lower in the front than the back. And I realised that, for one, the neck was not lower in the front than the back, and two, I'd been knitting the top as though the front was the bit, how do I explain it? So the way I'd knit the top, the darts for the bust were actually in the back, so it was the wrong way around. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's a good job. I decided to go back and frog the whole thing. So I frogged the whole thing right up to here, I think, up to this bit, this bit here. I frogged it all the way back up to here and started again so that I could get the darts and everything in the right place, make sure everything was the way it was meant to be. And so that's the story. It was just a long time working on this because I made so many mistakes, and I don't know if I made all those mistakes because I hadn't knit anything, I hadn't knit a garment for so long, and I wasn't picking up on all the detail that was in the pattern, or if perhaps it wasn't explained in a clear fashion for me to understand. I'm not quite sure what went wrong there, but I now have the finished article. And what the thing is, I had bought some more yarn because I thought, I love that top. When I bought the pattern, I thought, I love that top, and I love her pattern. She always comes out with such great patterns, and this time I'm going to do 2 of this. So I went and bought navy blue to make another one. But now, after all of that hassle with this one, the yarn is still sitting in the bag because I'm like, I'm not sure I want to do that again. I think I would much rather do one of her other patterns, which is a style that I like. And not that I don't like this style, I do like this style, but I don't like the pains I went through to get it to sit the way I wanted it to, nice and flat on the neck, and you know, and the arms nice, and I don't want to go through all that hassle again. So I don't think I'll be working that pattern again. I will work one of her other designs, because maybe at some point in the future when I'm feeling like I can concentrate and focus on new patterns or something, I don't know, maybe at that point in time I might have another go at this pattern and see if it actually was me or if it was the pattern just not being clear. But at this point in time, I'm not doing that one again. I'm not trying that again. I would rather use the yarn for something else. So I have all this yarn here in the navy blue that I haven't touched yet because this was just hard work for me. So yeah, so that is the knitting basically. That's where I got to with the knitting. So I have some incoming stuff that I have bought. I don't know if you probably can't see it actually from here. So I picked up some yarn yesterday. I was passing a wool shop yesterday, local wool shop, and I saw this yarn in the ball and I thought, that looks really good. I like the colours of this. I need to make some socks because for some reason my socks are getting holes in, or at least one pair has. So I saw this in the shop and I picked it up. It's a West Yorkshire spinach yarn and it says Zanola Rhodes. It's a signature 4-ply and the colourway is Botanical Bloom. So that's the label and that's the colourway. And I've divided it into two. I'm planning to make a pair of socks with this. Not sure, I was actually thinking when I looked back at this that perhaps I could do like a contrast heel and toe with this colour. But I don't know if that's a bit gearish, if it's a bit too much for this. Maybe, if I'm going to gift it, then maybe I will just have to tone it down a bit. Maybe do a plain pink or just do a normal, just do the whole sock like this. I don't know, haven't decided yet. But now that Strictly's back on the TV, it's perfect sock knitting time for me. So I'm planning to cast these on and get started on some socks. Also, I picked up a few months back, if you guys remember, I have the bee bunny bunnies in my bedroom. I have 3 other bunnies and I just need a 4th one. So I picked this up, which is the relaxing bunny, what do they call it, to-do list, which is just like me. I have lists all over the place. So I figured I would choose this design for my 4th bee bunny design, and that will complete the set that I have in my room. So that's the kit, and it's by Bothy Threads. I got it from Bothy Threads, it says it at the bottom there. So that is my incoming. I think that is all. That is all. The one thing I have left to say is that I finished the dimension stocking a while back, and I showed it in my last video. And then after I recorded the video, I started to think to myself, do you know what? You don't actually need the kit anymore. So I wonder if there's anybody out there who watches my videos who might like to have the kit. So I have the design. I don't think I coloured on the design. Yeah, I didn't colour in the design, so the design is exactly as it was when I bought it. But obviously I've used the threads. However, I've kept the actual thingamies, these thread holders. So if there is anyone out there that is interested in having my leftover kit and would like to do the stockings themselves, then I thought if I keep these little cards, it will help you to choose your colours, and you won't necessarily need to have all of these colours intact, but you could actually just choose your colours according to what you can see here as a guide. So if any of you are interested in receiving this kit from me, like I said, it's not a kit complete with threads. It's just what you see here, and you can kind of choose your own threads. If you're interested in this, let me know in the description box, not the description box, you know, in the comments section below the video. Let's see, what word can I use? If anyone's interested, then it will turn into a giveaway. If there's more than one person, then it will turn into a giveaway. And if you just say, if you just make a comment using the word sidecar, then I will know that you're interested in receiving this, what's left over in this kit, and I will choose someone to receive it at random. So yeah, so just in your comment, if you're interested in receiving this, then just use the word sidecar in your comment and I'll know that you're interested in that. because there's no point me hanging on to it. If nobody, if I don't get any response from anybody that watches the video that wants to have it, then it will either go in the bin or it will go to a charity shop. So, because I can't see myself doing that one again. But yeah, so that is it from me. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about all of these things that I've been showing you, and thank you to those of you that have watched to the very end of the video. And I know it's a long one, but I did have a lot to share with you. If you have any comments, questions, or just want to say hi, do that in the comment section below the video. But yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I won't leave it as long next time. So yeah, take care and see you next time. Bye for now.